Morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on what country you're from. What I wanted to do today is obviously do a little bit of a discussion about the difference in motorized bike engines. Like, for instance, you have yourself a two-stroke engine kit or you have yourself a four-stroke engine kit. So, a lot of people, they're always wondering, I want to start this project. I really want to get into this sort of field of hobby, if you want to call it that, but I don't know if my engine will fit on the frame that obviously that I really want to get. So depends on really what it is that you want. So I'll give you an example. If you wanted to get yourself a two-stroke bicycle engine kit, if you watched my very first motorized bike video on how to build a motorized bike, I'll give you the actual dimensions so as you can measure up yourself to see if it will fit on your frame and to see if it will sit true as well, because it needs to sit very true. Because if it doesn't sit like in the right sort of in the way, like I'll give you an example. If it's like sort of slanted, then obviously what will happen is where your back wheel is when you go to line up the sprocket, the chain will be all twisted. So you can't have this. It needs to sit directly in a line so as it runs what they call true. Okay, now with the four-stroke engines, they are a hell of a lot bigger. So when it comes to mounting these kits with a four-stroke, there is a lot more components to sort of figure out. With the two-stroke, they're very easy to work on and work out exactly what's what. The differences between the two as well is, for instance, the four-stroke is very sluggish, very slow. But for instance, if you wanted to get a few different modifications and whatever, when it comes to the four-stroke, you can't really modify the four-stroke as much as you can with the two-stroke. So there's so many different like benefits to having the two-stroke. I mean, the speed increment is way more faster than what it is the four-stroke. But say for instance with the actual four-stroke itself, it's going to be more reliable. So it's not going to tend to break down as much as what the two-stroke will. All right. A lot of other people are sort of planning out and designing other engines that will obviously fit onto a frame. So a motorized bike isn't about say a 66cc or an 80cc or maybe even a four-stroke engine that's going to fit on their frame itself from either BlackBerry or eBay or Amazon or what other website that you can think of. Okay, but people are even adapting like a 50cc like little tiny scooter engine onto their bike, and that's actually working out really well. A lot of people are even sort of like adapting chainsaw engines to fit. So it's not just about, oh yeah, I want to get a per se sort of like a certain specific engine and then put it on there. So it's up to you. I mean, like even for instance, these little mini moto engines will fit. The 50cc mini moto engine will actually fit. People have adapted like and sort of like angle grinded parts of the different bikes together and welded it together, and they've actually constructed their own ones. Another sort of engine that I've seen as well, and I wouldn't really rate this too much, is for instance, there's an engine that attaches to obviously the back tire. And what it does is you press a lever that will obviously, like, say for instance, this is your back tire itself. You press a lever and then it engages towards the back tire. But what that will do is actually burn and wear your back tire down rapidly. Okay, and obviously it ain't going to grip as much as if it's in the wet or if it's in the rain. So these motorized bikes, they are sort of universal. You can run them obviously like in the sun, in the rain, even in the snow. But you need to make sure that you have a lot of different sort of safety like protection in a way, because a lot of people are coming off these things. They're having a lot of head injuries. So I'll always make sure that you wear a helmet. 100%. You need to wear a helmet. It's serious. Like you don't end up hurting yourself. But when it comes down to the engines, yeah, it's all about the maintenance as well. No matter what engine it is, whether it's two-stroke, four-stroke, so you need to maintain these things, all right? Because literally, if you don't look after them, you're going to be able to sort of see a lot of problems that you're going to be facing a lot quicker as well. All right. So what I wanted to also say as well is that if you're ever thinking about, say, building one of these, it's very cheap. All right, very cheap, and you can go out. You can obviously buy one that someone's already built, but you're not really going to learn anything from that. I feel as though the best way to learn, all right, is obviously build your own one. All right. But don't buy a second-hand one. Whatever you do, if you see parts or someone selling something, don't even buy it. It's not worth it, seriously, because you're going to get stressed out and aggravated. Everything. It's just not worth it. All right. But any advice that you really need about these things, I'm here. You can ask me as many questions as you want. I can answer as much as I can. Obviously, if I can't, then obviously I'll tell you that I can't. All right. But with like these engines as well, a lot of people are getting themselves like they think it's going to be a high performance carburetor. Right, they're not high performance, especially for the price of like £20 or $20. They're not high performance. Okay, they're cheap replicas. Okay, of the actual original thing. All right. So say for instance, if you wanted to get yourself a higher performance carburetor, yeah, and then you feel as though like even the basic carburetor that you have with the kit, it's running a hell of a lot quicker. It will do because you need to rejet the high performance carburetor. Okay, the second that you put a new jet into it, then it will run just as good as your basic carburetor. That's the difference, all right? It's not going to be any faster or any quicker or whatever. No, it's wrong. It's false information, all right? Say, for instance, like this, the spark plug as well. I'm going to keep going over this information like I've done in my previous videos because obviously a lot of people need to learn, and obviously like other people, they might not watch the previous video, okay? So even with the spark plug, yeah, get yourself a decent spark plug, yeah? I cannot stress it enough because obviously the spark that you get from the normal kit, it's not good enough at all. I mean, it's enough to obviously get your engine broken in, okay, and after that, throw it away. All right, you don't need the Z4C spark plug. It's rubbish. Honestly, it's just really bad. All right, I would definitely recommend either a Champion. Okay, Champion make amazing spark plugs. They're really, really good. They've been going for years and years and years. That's what I'm running in both of my bikes. Okay, and a few other bikes as well. I always get like a Champion spark plug. They're amazing. All right, and there are a few other spark plugs, but I can't really remember like just at the minute. But yeah, carburetors like are really important as well because obviously it's all about the air and the fuel mixture. Okay, you need to have like a decent air and fuel mixture like to obviously flow through your engine to get the maximum amount of performance out of these little engines at all. Okay, moving on to say like filters now. Okay, filters are really, really important. Okay, a lot of people are running their engines without a filter on it. Now I don't understand the reason for this. I mean, they probably think that they're going to get a bit more speed out of their bike, maybe another 1 or 2 miles an hour. Like, but look, to be honest, yeah, a carburetor is basically sucking in a lot of air and a lot of other like rubbish. And without a filter, it's going to have nothing to protect it. Okay, so inside the carburetor and inside the engine, they're very, very delicate components. Okay, you do not want to damage these. So a lot of people, yeah, they think, oh yeah, well if I take off the filter, I'm going to get more speed. No, seriously, do you know what? If you do that, that's fine. Yeah, take it off. But the only thing is if you're riding it in places like, say, muddy areas or sanded areas, right, or where there's dirt off the road, it's just going to get sucked into that engine and you're just going to damage the internals of your carburetor, your engine, and then you'd have to strip it all down and obviously rebuild it. And it's going to cost you even more than what you actually originally planned to do. So don't do any of these silly little mistakes and think, oh, I'm just going to take the carburetor. No, if you're going to take the carb off, right, clean the carburetor properly, okay, and then obviously like put it all back together, yeah, and then make sure that you seal it up properly, okay. So any little tiny gaps or whatever, that's going to allow air to flow out, and then you're going to end up facing even more problems and issues, okay. So if you honestly, my honest opinion, yeah, and a lot of other people will stand by this when I'm telling you, yeah, make sure you have a decent filter on your bike, yeah, and like say for instance the basic filter, yeah, it's all right. It's not bad, yeah. But I mean, there are improvements. I mean, you could even drill a few more holes in the basic one if you really wanted to get a few more, like more miles an hour out of it. It will work. All right. I know this for a fact. All right. And then like another example, yeah, right. Tire pressure. This is a serious thing, right? A lot of people, they're wondering why they get a lot of punctures. Okay, a lot of like glass and a lot of like say things will go in their tires, and then obviously they get a flat tire because of obviously all the debris and all the rubbish on the road. Now the thing is that if you keep to your tire pressure, it even tells you the pressure on the side of your tire. All right, if you adhere to that, look, if it says 100 psi, put 100 psi in it. Yeah, if it says like 86 psi, put 86 in it. The reason why it says that is because it needs to be put, like literally blown up to the maximum capacity of that to protect from punctures. All right. And the thing is, it's like, for instance, even wheels. Yeah. A lot of people, they will say, for instance, oh yeah, well I buckled my wheel. Yeah. Because do you know what that is? The main reason why people buckle their wheels is not just about potholes, yeah, but it's about your tire pressure itself. If you don't have a certain amount of tire pressure within your tires itself, then obviously you're going to be facing a lot of problems as well, and you're more likely to get punctures. And do you know what? I didn't really know that myself until I started trying it. All right. Another thing is, say for instance, if you don't put the right amount of tire pressure in there, okay, and you're running with flattish sort of wheels, yeah, you're going to run your tires down even quicker, and then you're going to be going out and replacing these tires more and more and more and more when you can't afford that. I mean, a decent set of tires that I've paid for, right, it's got to be £60, and that's for 2 tires. That's a lot of money still, yeah, but it's not really worth it. So when it comes to like even the maintenance on these engines, yeah, it's a serious thing. Even like the maintenance on your bike, yeah, brake pads. I mean, think about this, yeah. If you've got, say, you spend all the money on your bike and you spend all the money on the engine, yeah, why not upgrade your brakes a little bit more? think about it. If you're doing, say, close to 50 mile an hour on these engines as well, right, with a normal mountain bike, yeah, imagine the stopping power has got to be a little bit more. So you can't be going out and getting some cheap rubbish little tiny brake pads or brake discs. You need the proper expensive stuff. It's expensive for a reason, all right? So say for instance, like with me, do you really think that when I built my two BBR tuning frames that I went out and got some cheap knockoff sort of brake pads? No, seriously, it's not worth it, because I tell you what, if you think that they'll last, they don't. Seriously, they do not last. You'll be lucky to get a month out of it, 1 month, yeah, and then you'll have to replace it again if it works. So that's the thing, all right? When it comes to these things, safety is a really big issue. I can't stress it enough, right? Another thing that I've noticed that I'm going to sort of mention now as well, right, is fuel tanks or petrol tanks, gas tanks, or whatever you want to call it, yeah? A lot of people, they're saying, oh, I've got a lot of problems, they're leaking. But do you want to know why? It's because it's cheap, rubbish metal, yeah? And then even for instance, if you want to put the fittings into it, you'll notice how it constantly drips and drips and drips and drips. Do you know what? Forget the metal or like petrol tanks, like the rubbish. Seriously, get yourself plastic, all right? You can pick up a decent plastic like petrol tank or fuel tank here off of eBay for a pit bike. It fits on these bikes, and the fittings are exactly the same if you wanted to put it up to the carburetor as well, like with the little pipe or the little hose. It's perfect. They work absolutely fine, yeah, and you'll notice that they will not leak, right? That's a very, very serious important thing. They do not leak. So imagine, yeah, you're bringing your bike into your home, yeah, and it's the smell, it's the fumes that will come off of these things, and then your whole house will stink, and you'll end up with a migraine. Seriously, I've been there, I've done it. It's not a nice thing to do, all right? So yeah, petrol tanks or fuel tanks or gas tanks, right, anything like that, make sure you get plastic. I mean, if you really wanted to, you can upgrade, all right? You can get yourself like a 5 litre fuel tank if you really wanted to, and then put that onto your bike, and that way you'll be able to do even more miles if you really wanted to, all right? But like I said, when it comes to even for instance like the piston now, all right, you can sort of upgrade the piston in so many different ways. All right, I'll give you an idea, right? You can widow the piston or window the piston, right? Basically what that does, right, is if say for instance when your piston is on top dead center, so imagine this is your piston, okay, and this is obviously the engine, okay, obviously the top of the engine, right? Literally when it's on top dead center, okay, that means that the piston is on the highest stroke, okay. Basically the second that you see that, if you take off your carburetor, right, and then take off the little tiny pipe, and then you look through where the barrel was, the hole in the barrel, you can see the bottom of the skirt of the piston. Okay, this is another thing you can do, right? If you cut away that little tiny part of the bottom of the piston, right, where the barrel is, you trust me, you'll allow more fuel and oil mixture within the engine, and that will therefore increase more speed. All right, windowing the piston, okay, is basically taking out little tiny holes within the piston itself. Okay, little tiny square holes that will eternally give you more speed as well. All right. But you don't have to go out and get a more bigger high performance piston. No, it's not worth it. What another thing that I will suggest though, right, is piston rings. All right, these piston rings are very, very brittle, and if you really wanted to say, even for instance, clean your piston, right, this is another thing. A lot of people think, oh yeah, do you know what, my piston's getting a bit like worn, or it's getting a bit knackered, or I need to sort it out, right? These pistons are very cheap to replace. All right. So say for instance, if you wanted to clean one of your pistons, you notice that the piston rings, they do actually come away without breaking them. You don't have to break them. Yeah. If you sort of unclip them and then you have a snapped piston, like actual ring, you can scrape all the excess oil and fuel that's been obviously like blown and left on there, all that blackening that goes on the inside of the edge. If you use a piston ring, you can actually scrape and scratch all that out, and then obviously like go over the top with a little bit of tiny emery cloth, yeah, just to bring up the piston again, because obviously if you haven't got the right mixture to your engine, yeah, then obviously you're not going to end up with the right detonation. Okay, so the detonation is very important. So obviously when the piston is being blown back down and up and back down and up and up and up, you need to get the timing right, especially with the detonation. All right, so it's a very, very serious thing. All right, but literally, like I said, with the 4-stroke, yeah, they are a lot more hard work. Seriously, if you wanted to strip one of these down, ooh, it's sort of snowballs, and it's not like, oh, I'm just going to take a few little components. There is not many components that you can upgrade, okay, with these things. You might be lucky to upgrade the filter, the carburetor, that's it, and maybe the spark plug if you're lucky, all right? But when it comes to other parts, with me, I don't really like the look of the 4-stroke either, because it looks too plasticky in a way, right? I'm into these like motorized bikes for the main cause of the reason. Yeah, I think they look good as well as they actually work good. All right, but it's got to physically look good. I mean, I've seen a couple of four-stroke engines like that, like I've seen in the past, and I've had a go with one. I haven't got one myself, but I've actually had a go with one as well, and it looks very plasticky. It looks like a giant toy on my bike, and or on this guy's bike. I said no. If it was me, I'd take all the plastic cowlings off of the engine itself and then make it look like a big lump of metal is sitting on there, like a proper beefy engine is on there. I'll be really happy with that, but it depends on the preference as well. And obviously, like for instance, a lot of these like four strokes, they've got like a pull start. Nah, it's not for me. I mean, like to be honest, I've got a mini moto at home, like a little 50cc mini moto, and that has a pull start. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a little toy. It's a fun toy. I've had a go of it. It's great fun. Yeah, but I'm not really going to be riding this thing around with my little tiny pull start hanging out. So no. I mean, for instance, if I'm going to start my bike, right, it's always going to be a bump start. Right, I prefer to let the clutch out and then it bump starts. It's like the majority of all my motorbikes, to be honest. I'll just bump start them. Yeah. And say, for instance, if you really wanted to, you can also put a cutout on these bikes instead of just like the normal cutout, like you press the little switch on the little button and it cuts the engine out. What I would ideally suggest to people to do is put a cutout with a key on your bike. So, for instance, when you're locking up your bike, and obviously, like you can lock up the cutout as well. So that means that no one can basically steal your bike unless they can find the wiring where you would like actually trace the wiring to. So I think a cutout is a great idea to put on these things as well. All right. When it comes to accessories for these things, you can just go crazy. I mean, with me, I've put a pannier on the back of mine. I mean, in fact, on the back of all of mine. Yeah, and that way you can put like boxes on the back. You can, if you want to carry quite a bit, then you're fine. I mean, you don't have to carry things on your like in your back, in your pockets or anything like that. You can just put them on the back of the bike, and then you still get to the same places. You can even get yourself a little trailer, all right, and put your tools and everything in there. And obviously, you can even make like say speakers, like speaker boxes. You can put that on the back, and then yeah, like I said, the customization is completely crazy. You can put so many cool things on these things, all right. But if there's any information that anyone wants to know, put it down in the comments below, and I'd love to get back to you. And I really appreciate everyone obviously like watching and following the channel, and obviously like watching all the videos and everything like that. I really do appreciate all your support, all right. But I want everyone to have a lovely Christmas, and obviously as you can see, right, let's give you a little glance. As you can see, we've actually got the Christmas tree up now, so we've got a few little decorations and everything, and it's all shining and looking great. So we're all like really looking forward to Christmas now. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking to everyone. I want everyone to have a lovely Christmas. All right, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.